I think the Nightlord will turn out to be a silver tear. The Mimic Tear Spirit Ash tells us that Mimic Tears are the result of an attempt by the Eternal City to forge a Lord. Meanwhile, we learn from the various Nox armor sets that, long ago, the Nox invoked the ire of the Greater Will and were banished deep underground. Now they live under a false night sky, in eternal anticipation of their liege, of the coming age of the stars, and their Lord of Night. And of course, Lord of Night is just another way to say Nightlord, the main antagonist in Nightreign. In fact, in the Japanese, the kanji for Lord of Night and Nightlord is the same in both Elden Ring and Nightreign. Special thanks to Gambit Souls who pointed this out on Reddit. She also has a fantastic translation guide that I highly recommend. Now, this theory that the Nightlord is a silver tear is further backed up by a recent tweet from the official Elden Ring account. All world will be undone, ravaged by living abominations, unless you stand together against their formless master. Formless is a very interesting word choice. While there could be a relationship to the formless mother, the game also calls the silver tears formless. Let's look at the item description for the silver tear husk. A hardened husk shed by a formless life form known as the silver tear, found in and around the Eternal City. The silver tear makes mockery of life, reborn again and again into imitation. Perhaps one day it will be reborn a lord. Likewise, the silver tear mask is fashioned from the corpse of a formless silver tear, supported by its hardened shed husk. To imitate the imitator is a cunning play indeed. And we see this in the game itself, where silver tears can seemingly take on any shape. In the Eternal Cities of Nokron and Nokstella, we see silver tears morph into humans, and we even see one become a redditor. And throughout the lands between, we can come across a few enemies that are actually in disguise and morph before our very eyes. The Runebear and the Wormface are particularly nasty, and when defeated, these enemies drop larval tears, which are the core of a creature of mimicry known as a silver tear. So if the Nightlord is a silver tear, then it would have the ability to shapeshift and change form. This is another reason why I think the Nightlord is a silver tear. It would give FromSoft a lore-friendly reason to go absolutely wild with reusing bosses. If the Nightlord is a shapeshifter, then maybe we're not actually fighting the bosses per se, we're just fighting a mimic of them. To me, that seems like the most elegant way to include all of these bosses from previous games without opening up major lore connotations. Speaking of which, I do want to address concerns about Nightreign and its canonicity. This past week, the game's director, Junya Ishizaki, gave several interviews that explain how Nightreign relates to the world and lore of Elden Ring. In one interview, he flatly said that the lore and story aspects are completely separate from that of Elden Ring. In a separate interview with Ungeek, Ishizaki elaborated, the world of Elden Ring and Nightreign split around the time of the Shattering, so it exists in a separate timeline. We had to strike a balance to ensure the mythos is similar up to a certain point, but also create a separate mythos for Nightreign. In Elden Ring, concepts like grace are key pillars for building the story. For Nightreign, we chose the concept of night and built upon it, using previous lore while making it distinct. And in another interview with GameStop, Ishizaki said the following, "We obviously understand that our players have a lot of affection for these characters, and they have a lot of fond memories of battling them in these games, so we didn't want to encroach too much on that lore aspect. We wanted them to make sense within the atmosphere and vibe of Elden Ring Nightreign." He also said that he wanted to add bosses from Dark Souls because I thought it'd be kind of fun. So that's one simple reason why we included some of these old bosses. So in short, Nightreign is a parallel story that splits off after Marika shattered the Elden Ring, and the shattering happens relatively late in the timeline. As for the lore we can expect, at most I'm thinking Nightreign could give us some slivers of lore that fill in some of the details for the world of Elden Ring before the shattering. Mostly little context clues, but I'm not expecting major revelations. But then again, we can't trust Miyazaki and FromSoft. They are some of the biggest and successful trolls in the gaming industry. So who knows what may come in May. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know what yins think. Did any of you play the closed network test? I had a really fun time and I might do an impressions video. So if you want to see that, please let me know.